Hey everybody, Singinlisa here. Hey, you made it to part two of this great interview with American Hospice Pioneer Barbara Karnes. She is an RN and has a wealth of information, and I'm ready for you to get into part two, which is going to talk about our current COVID-19 pandemic situation. She's going to share information that helps us to take the next step and to be a little more confident and comfortable with the process of dying. It's not our favorite topic, but we've seen so much that it's better to be prepared and a little bit more knowledgeable than to have fear and be in the unknown. So she talks some other information as well, some light details about her family, herself, and it's been really great to learn all about this woman who has great compassion for the field that is all about the care of our loved ones. So let's get into it. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Singinlisa. This is the Focus Podcast.
Talk about it, then it'll happen. So we don't talk about it.
Right. Well, I want to jump into present day Corona and COVID-19, and everybody is aware of that. If they didn't know it, they know the word now. It's a part of everybody's vocabulary and, of course, our lifestyle. What have you noticed that has been different about this one from the time with AIDS and just overall?
Well, I think the sheltering in place, the isolation that has come with COVID-19, with AIDS, um, afraid to be next to someone. As healthcare professionals, we were concerned, but the general public was not. We're here. Everybody on the planet is terrified, number one, and social distancing and this locking it, being locked in place, presents an isolation that compounds the fear. And I think that's the biggest thing for us as citizens. Now, healthcare workers, that's a whole nother ballgame.
Mm-hmm.
But for the majority of us that are sheltering in place, dealing with the fear, afraid to leave your house, afraid to uh, go to the grocery store, the things that every day we Americans take for granted.
Yes.
And then add not having a job because you're locked down, so you don't have money coming in. None of that did we deal with during the AIDS or the SARS or any other in my lifetime. And I'm old. There has not been a pandemic that people off the planet.
Yes, that is a definite stark difference because this is like nothing anybody's ever experienced, except in the history books. We can again go back to the 1918 pandemic as a comparison, and just looking back, I saw so many similarities. Signs that said this was closed, church was closed, school was closed, everything, and so it has made a difference for everyone to be hunkered down at home, which is big and the key to the safety of everyone. But now, is there some clarity that you can provide on whether we are just masking too much, are we wearing too many gloves, or not enough?
Well, I think until we have adequate testing, we don't have answers. That we really don't know how many people have died from this. We don't know how many people are infected with it. And I think that's the key, that once we have more data as a result of testing, we can then judge whether we think we're safe, I put that in quotes, um, to leave our house. Now, there's a lot of people out, some big joke, um, and that really saddens me that people aren't taking this seriously, um, because what, almost 80,000 deaths, um, that that's serious. That's really
Yes.
serious.
Yeah, the unknown factor really has gripped everyone with fear and taken over the entire world. And so we definitely need more answers. I am curious with your definition of death being fast on one end and a process on the other end. Does the death toll or the death process that we're seeing fall in a different category? Does that create something new?
Oh, that's a great question because I've toyed with that thought. Where, all these years I've said fast, gradual, that's the only way. This is kind of I would classify it as a gradual death that happens very rapidly. In
Yeah.
that what you're going to see is the signs of approaching death that occur weeks to days before death. It's bypassing the months before death. It's kind of like dementia. People dying from dementia don't play by the rules. It isn't until they can't eat and can't swallow that they then begin the gradual dying process from disease. With COVID-19, they're not going to have the signs months before death, but they will have them whether they're on a ventilator, whether they're in a hospital room, or whether they're in their bed at home. They're going to have the signs of weeks to days to hours before death.
Well, that's another book for you, I believe, that you have to write. And this will be one that will present more facts and data that you can add to the process, which helps people because this will be one that will be discussed for a lifetime, for others to use as a guide and to remember and to be safe from. And so I think that is going to be very, very important. So there's another area. I've spoken with several doctors and different personnel throughout this process and have touched on so many areas. And I have made a statement that I believe at the end of this, every single person in the world will need some type of mental health care because we will need to speak to someone that keeps us calm and brings some type of sense or just normalcy back into our world because it's just been shaken.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
So we have now people that talk about the mental aspect, but you have been having extra, is it Facebook Live groups or Facebook meetings that you've been holding to actually help people cope more with the dying process as it's happening so rapidly in ways from this pandemic? You've been helping people through the hospice process a little bit more involved as it is now. And also, you've mentioned, I think, recently where there's a concern about the healthcare workers because they're on the front lines and we have no idea the trauma that they are facing, the horror of not being able to go home or going home and giving. They've got a multitude of worries that many of us don't have to face at all. So, what is your advice or what have you been giving to those people?
Well, one of the interesting things that I've had to give a lot of thought to is the healthcare workers that work in the hospitals that are part of the medical system. Death is a failure to the medical system. You have lost the battle when a patient dies. So the sense of failure from that for these healthcare workers that are working in the hospital is an added burden because I mean some of these I've heard on the news, some of these people are dealing with 7, 8, 10 deaths a shift.
Mm.
And think of the compounding of the sense of I failed that comes with that. Where someone like me who works in end of life, the death is the goal, is a gentle death is the goal. So it isn't a failure for me. For most healthcare workers, it's the failure. So I try to focus on how they can um, be mentally healthy, and that's one of their prime factors. And so I encourage them to create a ritual of release after every shift to let go of these feelings that they have. And then, it's I've got rituals, or they can create their own as one of the ways that they need to find someone to download with, someone to tell their feelings and their story, what happened last night, that kind of thing.
Mm.
Someone that will understand and support them. Not
Yeah.
that has answers, but that will understand and let them download.
So very important. And I heard you say something that I related to so well. I started telling somebody everything that happened one day. And after so many times, I think you said it was your husband, he said, listen, I can't take
Oh,
it.
that's right. I had to go find a different listener.
Yeah. So that's why often people that are in the same field can actually become married or become really great friends because they actually understand the process. And so it does matter a great deal. Well, how does your family feel after all of these years? Was there a shock? I mean, I guess they grew up into you being having the job that you have, but what is your family's reaction to the work that you do?
Well, right now they all work for me. If you call the house to place an order, you're going to get Joey, who's a daughter. Um, Jackie does the website. Julia does the social media. So we're a close family, and we're all involved in end of life. They all have the same passion
Okay.
for end of life knowledge, and they're helping me get it out there.
That is wonderful. Well, that's an unexpected gift, I suppose, because you didn't have to go out and search for a team. You just gave birth to them, right?
I did, yes. Well, and they grew up with it. You know,
Absolutely.
they grew up with the understanding that everybody dies. They
Yeah.
didn't grow up with the fear and we're not going to talk about it, because it was every night. You know,
Yeah.
uh, one daughter, she used to joke because she say to her friends, "Yeah, mom went to another funeral last night." Because it was just commonplace. That's what I
Wow.
did.
I was thinking about that. Like, what do the kids think, and how life must have been growing up with the work that you did? What stories did they share? It's like, what was your summer like? That had to be an interesting paper to find out the details of what you did this summer. But I think that, do you find that you have ways of helping those even now try to explain to children what death is, because it's happening so much around them? Their lives have been shifted. And because of their loss, not only of people they don't know, but even some children now are starting to become a part of the statistic.
That's true. I have written, um, well, actually, one of my daughters wrote two children's books. One is a poem that's in the back of the blue book, the Gone from My Sight, about the ship. We put that to pictures and made it into a coloring book. And the other booklet, Joey wrote, and it takes death and dying from the standpoint of nature and the seasons, spring being the birth, and winter being the death, and how it cycles through. So we have those two children coloring books.
That's fantastic. Well, I have to say that I could go on, and I definitely have to have you back because I value your information and your life experience. But please let everybody know how they can connect with you and purchase your products so that they can reach out to you for the help that you do provide.
Go to bkbooks.com is my website, and I've got all of our materials there. On social media, I have an end of life and bereavement support group. I have another Facebook page, which is Barbara Karnes RN. Um, and I write, at this point, I'm writing them weekly But normally it's every couple weeks blog articles on end of life. And those blog articles are on the website. And you can sign up for those, and then I just email them to you.
Well, I have to say, Barbara Carnes, you have enhanced my life. You have enlightened me, and I smile often as I celebrate my mother. She was 92, and I am forever grateful for all of the difficulties and the challenges and the great times that I shared with her. Had a wonderful father as well, but you know, that mother-daughter relationship is one that I treasure and celebrate often, smile often, because she is still with me, I feel, as many people do. And so I appreciate what you do to offer that information to everyone. And so please, everyone, take advantage, because we have someone living right now who can give you answers, and it's definitely worth it to find out what they can. And so, Barbara, it's just been a pleasure, and I do hope you come back and join the Focus podcast again.
Oh, just invite me back, Lisa. Thanks.
Thank you so much. You take care and be safe.
All right, you too. Bye
All
bye.
right.